All right, this video lesson is on correlation. So we're going to be talking about some bivariate data and linear regression. The primary focus of the lesson, though, is going to be on correlation coefficients and R-squared. When we're talking about correlation, we're looking at how well a line, specifically linear, quadratic, and exponential lines or curves represent a set of data. All right, so this can determine if two variables have a relationship. All right, this is denoted by the letter R, and that R is called your correlation coefficient. This number can only be between -1 and +1. So it does not exceed those two numbers and can be described by so let's go with positive and negative. Okay, also could be strong or weak. Those are also descriptors that we use for R-squared. For your R. All right, so positive correlation is when the points lie close to the line with a positive slope. So they are increasing. So I would take positive, or I would take increasing for slope. Negative correlation is when your slope is decreasing from left to right, and at that point your R-squared will be negative value. All right, so when points do not, NOT, do not lie close to any line, so they're really just kind of scattered. Typically, we're looking for values that are close to 0. This part is a little bit subject to change depending on kind of which resources you're looking at and how they describe it. Some describe kind of a range for no correlation between -0.2 and +0.2, and others say it has to be right at 0. So we're just going to go with the 0 part right there. So we're going to stop right there. All right, so describe the direction of the correlation for each graph below. This one would be negative. And then this one is your positive. And then the one in the middle, because those are just a little bit more scattered, that is going to be your no correlation. All right, so here's an example of a chart that can be used to describe correlations from very strong to moderate to weak to no correlation. So you're going to look at your chart right here, and then you're going to try to answer numbers 1 through 6. So take a minute, pause the video, see if you can try to list them as strong, weak, or no correlation. All right, so go ahead and check your answer for 1 through 6 down at the bottom. And then here we're going to describe the correlation for the following scatter plots and estimate the correlation coefficient. So we're going to skip the part where we estimate the correlation coefficient because that is very difficult to do, just given the scatter plots with no actual points or anything on the graph. So what we can do is say that the first one is positive, the second two are negative, and then what we can say is that if you're looking between the second and the third, the second one, the one in the middle, has a stronger correlation than the one on the end because those dots are closer together. It is, my opinion, is hard to determine what the correlation coefficient would be simply based on a graph. I think when you're trying to break it down between moderate, strong, and very strong, you kind of need to have a little bit more guidance aside from just the scatter plot. All right, so what you're going to do here is you're going to do these practice problems for numbers 1 and 2. That goes back to what we did in Desmos a while ago. You may need to go back, look at those notes, because this is just kind of a refresher up here at the top where you would make your table, and then from there you would get Desmos to generate your equation for you, and then you would use the equation that you generate to be able to do part B. But 3, 4, and 5, I put 4 twice. Yep, so there should be 3, 4, 5, 6 are based on the information that we just went over talking about correlations. Please reach out if you have any questions.